Welcome to Peace, Love, and Soup, audio nourishment for the heart and mind.
With Brian Delaney
and Tave Fashe Drake.
We hope you enjoyed this broadcast of an episode we produced in August of 2017 when the country was all abuzz with the rare coast-to-coast solar eclipse. Life is like eating a watermelon. You know you're going to get some seeds. Just spit them out and take another bite.
That's right. Dear listeners, since National Watermelon Day falls in August, we have prepared an episode for you that is nothing less than refreshing. Just like the delicious fruit itself,
the epitome of summer,
the wonderful watermelon. And because the solar eclipse aligns with the new moon,
which is also our release date,
we're calling this episode Watermelon Soup for the Solar Eclipse.
We will also be introducing you to the world of Ayurveda,
the healing science of the sun,
with the guidance of the ever-kind and knowledgeable Elyssia Schaeffer.
And this episode's music is a flashback to when artist Rachel Siegel and I made a short film aptly titled It's a Watermelon. So get ready for some fun little ditties you can't help but hum to.
And new to our Peace, Love, and Soup family, Coco the Correspondent from the KBOO Youth Collective, bringing us a special on-the-street segment. How do Portlanders pick the perfect watermelon?
I can't wait to find out.
Stay tuned.
We have many juicy tidbits of information we can hardly wait to share with you. But first, Brian, let's talk a little bit about this momentous and rare event.
That's right. We're talking about the Great American Eclipse.
And you've got some trivia to share with us, don't you?
Yes, please sit back and enjoy this information. For a little over 2.5 minutes, the moon will completely block the sun and day will turn into night.
Are we going to be able to see stars?
You will. You'll see stars.
Like the Big Dipper?
Mm-hmm. You'll see planets, and you'll also see the otherwise hidden solar corona. And the last time there was a total eclipse of the sun, seen from coast to coast, was nearly 100 years ago, on June 8th, 1918.
I don't even know anyone that old that I can ask if they saw it.
I don't either.
When's the next one going to be?
August 12th, 2045.
Maybe we'll be around to see that.
Knock on watermelon. But wait, did you see one when you were a kid?
You know what? There was one on the West Coast in 1979, and I had just turned 12. You were worried you were going to get blinded if you snuck a peek. You had to make those pinhole camera viewer things. We've got fancy glasses now, so have no fear. And if we stay in Portland, we'll witness a 99% eclipse, which is pretty good. Mm-hmm. Or we could hit the road and travel into the path of totality, along with the 1 million or so estimated visitors journeying to our fair state of Oregon to view this celestial spectacle. I just want to let everyone know we're planning to be good hosts and we're remaining calm as our population temporarily grows by 25%.
Stay calm. And
watermelon.
I think it's time that we bring out some extra lawn chairs and get our watermelon soup ready for the very big show.
Let's go. History of the watermelon. Watermelons, botanically called a pepo, are a member of the gourd family, along with cucumbers, cantaloupes, squash, and pumpkins. They originated in southern Africa with evidence of its cultivation as far back as ancient Egypt, where watermelon seeds were found in the tomb of Pharaoh Tutankhamun, King Tut.
In the 7th century, watermelons were being cultivated in India, and by the 10th had reached China, which today is the world's single largest watermelon producer. The Moors introduced the fruit to Andalusia, Spain, in the 13th century, spreading throughout the rest of Europe between the 15th and 17th centuries. It was European colonists and slaves from Africa that then introduced the watermelon to the New World. By 1692, it was being grown in Massachusetts.
And around that same time, Native Americans were cultivating the crop in Florida and the Mississippi Valley.
Today, Texas, California, Arizona, Georgia, and Florida are the United States' largest watermelon producers.
The sweet, juicy, fleshy center is usually deep red to pink, but there are variations of the fruit in orange, yellow, and white, all with black seeds. Considerable breeding efforts have been made to make disease-resistant seedless varieties.
Seedless watermelons became more popular in the 21st century,
rising to nearly 85% of total watermelon sales in the United States in 2014.
There are more than 1,200 varieties of watermelon, ranging in weight from less than 2 pounds to more than 200 pounds. Here are but a few that strike our fancy.
The Orange Glow has a very sweet orange flesh.
The Carolina Cross is the current world's record holder for heaviest watermelon, grown in Tennessee in 2013, weighing 351 pounds.
Wow.
The Moon and Stars variety is a purplish black with brown seed watermelon.
And has small yellow circles as stars and 1 or 2 large yellow circles
as the moon.
The Cream of Saskatchewan has a green striped rind and sweet white flesh.
And grows well in cool climates. It was originally brought to Canada by the Russian immigrants. And the Densuki watermelon has a solid black exterior.
It's grown only on the island of Hokkaido, Japan. One of the first harvested sold at auction for $6,300,
making it the most expensive watermelon ever.
The average selling price is generally around $250.
Watermelons have been viewed as a major symbol in the iconography of racism in the United States as early as the late 1700s.
Defenders of slavery used the fruit to paint African Americans as a simple-minded people, happy when provided watermelon and a little rest. This misrepresentation was perpetuated in minstrel shows,
where actors in blackface given to song and dance were depicted as being inordinately fond of watermelon. Later, free slaves grew, ate, and sold watermelon. To some, this was a threat to the racial order, but to others, the fruit became a symbol of freedom.
Contrary to studies disproving the validity of the stereotype, the negative association continues to this day.
Watermelon, I'd do anything for a watermelon. That flavored styrofoam is found in every summer home. Equipped with ammunition, you can spit upon your friends. Watermelon, what's a summer without a watermelon? If you forget to bring the football, there's a seedy substitute. But if you fumble, you'll have watermelon soup.
We're so grateful to have with us here today in the studio Elyssia Schaeffer, an Ayurvedic practitioner based in Portland who does workshops and private consultation for those near and far. Welcome.
Hi, Tommy. Hi, Brian.
Hello, Elyssia. Will you please enlighten us about the wonders of living an Ayurvedic lifestyle? And what exactly is Ayurvedic?
Ayurveda is an over 5,000-year-old medical system from ancient India. It includes herbal medicine, food, cleansing, breath work, and it's the sister science to yoga. So yoga and Ayurveda come from the same philosophy.
You are a yoga instructor and you also do nutritional counseling.
Yeah, I found Ayurveda encapsulates everything that I've, kind of studied already and ties it all together, and this whole approach to health.
Well, I know when I took your workshop, there was something really about it, like, oh my gosh, this just all fits together. So would you talk to us about those 3 different body types and 3 different seasons, and then maybe talk a little about the season we're in, which I remember is Pitta.
Yeah, that's right. So there are 3 seasons in Ayurveda and 3 doshas or body types. And we have Pitta, like you mentioned, that's associated with the summer season. Heat. So when we think of Pitta, we think of fire and heat, hot, light. And then we have the fall, winter. They're lumped together in Ayurveda, which is Vata. So this is cold, dry qualities of winter. And the elements associated with those are air and ether. And then we have Kapha, which is the spring season, the heavy, soft. And the elements associated with Kapha are earth and water. Kapha people are more slow and sluggish and solid and stable, and cinnamon is great for Kapha because it's kind of zingy and it gets them going, it spices them up. And that's the system behind Ayurveda. I've noticed for myself, I'm primarily Vata and Pitta. So in the winter, which is the Vata season, I'll have more Vata-related issues, dry skin, that kind of stuff. And then summer, I'll have more heat-related issues. So for myself, it's really helped me tune into what's going on and why it's happening, and then be able to do the opposite to balance it. So each of these seasons, as I just said, has different qualities and different elements associated with them. At first, when I was learning Ayurveda, I thought, well, how can we all be described by 3 doshas? That's not true, because each person is a combination of Vata, Pitta, and Kapha.
And that has to do with the season itself, but also a person's general constitution.
Right.
Or dosha.
Yes.
And then in this season,
summer, we're kind of going to talk about Pitta in this interview, and I have a lot of Pitta in me, so I'm pretty affected by the heat. Like, I'll get heat-related issues such as inflammation or headaches. So we are affected by the season because it carries that dosha, and if we are predominantly that dosha, we're more affected. Yeah.
Can you
really
guess what we would be?
I would say you're both predominantly Pitta.
And what makes you think that?
Pitta is everything medium, medium musculature and hair type. Pittas tend to have wavy hair or not as much hair. And driven. You guys seem to be both very driven.
In a kind way.
Definitely. And note to our listeners, Brian is handsomely clean shaven on top of his head. So
I naturally started balding at around 25. And hair started spreading in other parts of my body other than my head.
That's a very Pitta thing. It's your body type.
So we have these 3 different doshas, or 3 different body types, but it isn't that everybody fits into one of those. It's everybody is one predominantly, but then a different blending of the other 2. Yes?
Yeah, that's well said. One of my teachers says we're a confluence of factors, and each dosha has all of its factors.
The confluence of factors is concise.
Yeah, it is, right?
Something I am not known for.
It's the title of your new book.
What are the best ways to eat for this season that we're in?
So it's very intuitive, actually. Food's the coolest down. Salads, cucumbers, cilantro, lime, coriander, berries, melons. Rose is really cooling in the summer. White rice, chicken, almonds, licorice. Watermelon, exactly. Anything with water. Yeah. Dairy, actually ice cream is pretty good for the summertime. Yeah.
Okay. It's great to know that. Sometimes we think of these other healthier ways of living and people immediately think no gluten, no dairy, no whatever. So it's very enlightening and refreshing.
And that's what I love about Ayurveda also is you can't say no gluten and no dairy for everybody, because actually for some body types, those foods are good if they're able to digest them properly. And it's good to eat wheat in the winter in Ayurveda because it's very grounding, and the winter season is kind of described as very airy. You're up in the air. So you feel anxious and erratic, so the wheat helps ground you. If you're eating locally from your region and you're eating what's in season, nature's providing you with the foods that are going to cool you down.
So when in doubt, eat what's local and in season, and you're probably not going to be too far off track.
Exactly.
So we're talking about cooling tips for the season. What are the benefits of watermelon?
Watermelon, it's a sweet fruit. So in Ayurveda, there are 6 tastes: sweet, sour, salty, bitter, astringent, and pungent, sort of similar to our Western tastes. But there's 3 that are considered cooling for the body. Those are bitter, astringent, and sweet. And watermelon, or any ripe fruit, is going to be sweet. So great to eat now, and they're in season, of course.
Can you talk to us about the Ayurvedic way to eat fruit?
One of the rules Ayurveda has is to eat fruit away from meals. So either an hour before meals or an hour after meals, or preferably as a snack by itself. And in Ayurveda, they say that the biggest meal is in the middle of the day. And here we talk about having a good breakfast, and that is true. Yeah, eat a good breakfast. Don't be depriving your brain of energy in the morning. And I grew up in England too, and we did this. So I'm sure it's not just in ancient India, but if we're going to, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead here, but talk about a watermelon soup, that would be a really great summer dinner item, because we want our dinner to be light, not eating heavy at the end of the day, and it's by itself. It would be a nice little, just light dinner item.
You really don't want to tax your digestive system during the summer.
Yeah, that's
ding,
very
ding, ding.
true. You said, yes.
I'm going to get out my gold star right now and put it right on your little bald head.
It's true, yeah. So our bodies are already naturally very hot in summer, we're retaining heat, and we don't really want to build a lot more heat by making our digestive system work a lot. Like eating foods that are already ripe, fruits and vegetables, you don't have to create as much digestive fire. In Ayurveda, we say digestive fire. And
Or just in the winter months, then you need to eat warm foods to warm your body when it's cold.
Right.
Okay. Not to go off on these tangents, but I used to get really sick before I figured out food was medicine. And I think it was acupuncture was saying, why are you eating salads in the wintertime? You need to be eating warm cooked food. And like, well, I just don't cook too much. And that's what kind of led me to the soup world. That's when I started making soups. And I did. I made myself healthier.
great.
Yeah.
Yay. And here we are.
And here we are making soup podcast.
Lovely.
Isn't it?
Do you have a refreshing watermelon soup recipe?
I could concoct one on the spot, maybe. I love it. Okay. I'm thinking other cooling things like mint and lime and cucumber could possibly go in there.
Okay.
What do you think?
Mint, super refreshing. It sounds like it'd pair nice with the melon, so I love that. And citrus, would you go lime or lemon?
So lime is cooling, but lemon's actually kind of pitta provoking.
Oh.
So
We'll do
yeah.
lime.
I was thinking, what about jicama?
Oh.
I have a jicama story for you.
I will say
You know that's going to be good when someone says that.
I love this idea of jicama actually because I love how crunchy it is. It's got like a little bit sweet, but at the same time it's not overpowering.
Right.
What about taking some of the rind, slivering up some of that, and either garnishing it on top or mixing it through?
I love
something like
that.
And then, because we know that you can also roast and salt the seeds, what about like sprinkling those on top?
That sounds delicious. I think you have your soup right there. Yeah.
Okay. And then no one can be calling this a smoothie at that point.
You know, I thought of something else. I read recently that watermelon rind is really great for rashes, which is another, heat pitta thing. So just rub it on because it's that cooling. Yeah, like aloe.
Do you know bananas, the peels, work the same way for
really?
burns?
I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
my friend, Baker Dan, burnt himself. Yeah.
Poor Baker Dan. When you mentioned the bananas, that's also reminding me you were recently on a trip to Cuba.
Oh my gosh, I was.
They have bananas there? I'm kidding.
Yeah, you better be.
Well, I had read about a variety of watermelon called the Cuban watermelon. By
really?
any chance, did you taste it when you were there?
I did have watermelon there actually. Yeah, and it was pink with black seeds. Everything was fresh from people's gardens, so it must have been like a true Cuban watermelon, I imagine.
And then you had mentioned to me that place you stayed.
Yeah. Funnily enough, we stayed with a family in the countryside, and they had an Airbnb, and they called them Casa Particulars there. And their Casa Particular was named Watermelon Wanderlust. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I got the email from Taffy when I got
What?
back, and we're doing watermelon soup.
You were like, hey.
I love synchronicity.
I
I
know.
love that. That's so good.
You have a workshop coming up.
I do.
Tell me what the focus of that is.
So it's really exactly what we're talking about, how to cool down, release all that heat that's built up over the summer and not carry that over into the winter and have it cause a whole host of winter health problems. Yeah, so I'll be talking about that and some different food, yoga, breathing exercises we can do to cool down. There's a fun one. We could try it together right now, actually. It's a breathing exercise, pranayama. And what you do, you stick out your tongue and then curl your tongue.
What if you can't curl your tongue?
Okay, so if you can't curl your tongue, then clench your teeth together. Like you're biting into a cucumber.
All right, I'm going to do the teeth clench as the thing.
So on your next inhale, you inhale through your curled tongue or your clenched teeth. And then pause for a second at the top of the breath. And then exhale through your nose. Right. So if you do this 5 to 10 times, 3 sets of that every day, that's very cooling for your body. Can you feel how the air is cold
do.
through your tongue or your
I
teeth?
Can.
So we can do that whenever
Yeah.
we want to cool our body down.
Anytime. Actually, it's great if you're feeling aggravated, frustrated. All those things are very pitta related.
Yeah.
So cool yourself down.
And then what else? Is there maybe a simple pose or something as well that one could do? Or
Well, any kind of twisting pose is great for releasing heat in the body because, as we were talking about, pitta lives in the digestive system. And when you're twisting, you're wringing out your digestive organs, your liver and your spleen and your small intestine. So, yeah, even if you're just sitting in the chair and you kind of reach kind of your head to the sky and twist to the right or left in your chair, hold for a few seconds.
It's like radio yoga.
yoga, yeah. Exhaling is when you're really releasing heat from your body too. So really exhaling, like as you know, on twisting, you exhale in yoga.
I like
I love it.
You can do that on the ground. You can do it standing up and use your arms, do it in the chair.
So you're like
Works.
wringing out your body.
Yeah.
Tell people where they can find out more information about you and the work you do.
You can email me if you're interested in getting Ayurveda care at a low cost. And we'd give you Ayurvedic tips, nutrition, yoga, herbal medicine, everything that Ayurveda offers.
Wow.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So my email is lyssschaeffer@gmail.com.
LysSchaeffer@gmail.com.
Yes.
And you have a Facebook page also.
I do. Yeah, it's under my name, Elyssia Schaeffer, ELYSSIA. And then my last name is SCHAEFFER. And I post what I'm doing, stuff about Ayurveda on there, tips, and
All your classes and events and clinics will
yeah.
also be.
exactly on there. Yes.
And we'll have all that information on our blog as well as on our Peace, Love, and Soup Facebook page.
Good luck to you guys.
It's appreciated.
So happy to do
Yes,
this.
pleasure.
That was fun.
Take a breath and step my feet up on top of our old cooler, now unused styrofoam box. Just as I ran, they float there magically. Have you tried the latest? It's new gravity. We decided to make it our mission. Tell me, have you ever been to nutrition?
Did you know?
Most people are accustomed to eating the sweet, red, fleshy part of the watermelon. But did you know that the seeds and the white part of the rind are also edible?
In Asian countries, the seeds are dried, roasted, seasoned, and eaten as a snack food, ground into cereal, or used to make bread.
Ground up seeds are also used in horchata de melon, left to sit for a half hour, then strained out before the beverage is served.
The seeds thicken the drink slightly, as well as contribute beneficial oils and protein.
Did you know that most organisms store toxins in the skin?
I did not know that.
If you plan to eat the rind, buy organic watermelons.
Did you know the rind of watermelon is featured in Southern American cooking, where it's marinated, pickled, or candied, and in other parts of the U.S. and in Europe, it's made into jams and chutneys. The rind is stir-fried and stewed in China.
Did you know that Japanese farmers found a way to grow cubic watermelons in metal and glass boxes, forcing them to assume the shape of the receptacles?
What?
Yes. Originally designed to make the melons easier to stack and store, these cube-shaped watermelons can fetch up to triple the price of normal ones. Pyramid-shaped watermelons have also been developed.
Did you know that some cookbooks recommend slices of watermelon, otherwise called watermelon steaks, as a meat substitute for vegetarians? When baked, watermelon has a texture like raw fish, and if grilled, it's been compared to that of seared tuna. One chef even feels that once the fruit's water evaporates via baking, the concentrating flavor and texture leaves the watermelon tender, like that of a steak fillet.
Did you know that Barbra Streisand, she had to do a scene eating a lot of steak, so instead they prepared watermelon steak for her to eat, take after take after take.
Is she vegetarian?
I don't know, maybe she just didn't want to eat that much steak.
Maybe a lot of steak.
And did you know the amino acid citrulline found in the rind and flesh of the mighty watermelon has properties similar to Viagra? Both stimulate nitric oxide, which relaxes and expands blood vessels, lowering blood pressure and enhancing blood flow, and thus erectile performance.
Talk about summertime fun.
In fact, watermelon seeds are a symbol of fertility in Chinese weddings.
Watermelon, watermelon, watermelon. Watermelon. The watermelon is a large fleshy fruit and grows mainly in the summer. It has a lot of minerals and vitamins.
Watermelon, watermelon, watermelon.
Watermelon is high in beta-carotene, antioxidants, and vitamin C. Watermelon also contains large amounts of lycopene and citrulline, which have been linked to lower blood pressure, improved metabolic health, and decreased muscle soreness after exercise.
Watermelons are 92% water and 6% sugar. Although this water-abundant fruit might be a tempting way to relieve dehydration, watermelon's juiciness only quenches thirst temporarily. Those who suffer from water retention will be happy to hear that ultimately watermelon dries the blood because of its high levels of potassium, a diuretic.
To receive the health benefits of watermelon, it is important to know how to eat it.
Eating watermelon at the end of a summer cookout is a bad idea.
Melons digest very quickly, and heavier, more difficult to digest foods prevent watermelon from traveling at its normal rapid rate through the digestive tract. This resulting intestinal traffic jam allows for bacteria to attack the watermelon and ferment it, thus releasing gas.
Try eating it while the veggies are still on the grill, as a snack between meals, drink a watermelon smoothie first thing in the morning, or simply have it on its own as a delicious watermelon soup.
Watermelon, watermelon, watermelon. I'm 92% water by weight. I'm green outside and juicy inside. So enjoy the summer with watermelon. Yummy, yummy.
Welcome, Coco, our new correspondent on the street.
My name is Coco, and I was asking people, how do you choose a ripe watermelon?
First, above all things, you slowly approach the basket of watermelons. Don't show fear.
I'm not really sure. Don't you press on the end and see if it's soft or not?
Well, how I know a watermelon's ripe is I thwap a few of them, and the one that feels the most solid, the heaviest, that's the one I take home.
The knock test, you should hear the ocean in the watermelon. Like a water balloon sound. And then I put it to my ear and I knock on it again. I do this 3 times in different places. This is very important.
I can't tell if this is for practical advice or if it's a riddle.
I like to pick a ripe watermelon by turning it around to make sure that there's a yellow or a white spot on the underbelly. And if it doesn't have a spot, then I know it's been picked too soon, and I definitely won't take it home from the grocery store.
I'm allergic, so I don't pick it.
How do you pick a ripe watermelon?
Well, a ripe watermelon. Aren't you supposed to plunk it, with your finger or something? And then if you hear, iron butterfly playing inside, then it's ripe.
Honestly, I'm not an expert on fruit, but in general, I feel like one with a nice, colorful rind.
It should look like dark emerald ribbons over the watermelon. Now the baby sugar watermelons, those are much easier. You don't need to smell them, but I like to. I also like to pet them. And you pick them up, shake them, and then if I have a friend with me, I shake it in my friend's face to make sure that they also feel the vibes of the watermelon. It's not just me enjoying the watermelon, right? It's my friend too.
And I also look at it in a inspirational kind of way to see what has the most alluring design, which one that speaks to you the most.
Then you have to look at the watermelon and ask it, is it okay for me to take you home?
Okay.
Right, I'm not done. And then when the watermelon says yes, you put it in your basket and go home and you eat it. The end.
I guess that's how I'd pick a watermelon.
This is Coco for the KBOO Youth Collective.
Thanks, Coco.
You're listening to Peace, Love, and Soup.
Well, welcome to Peace, Love, and Soup in the Kitchen. And Tave, what are we making today?
We are going to be making a watermelon soup for the solar eclipse.
Damn, I wish that it was a solar eclipse. Now it's so hot today. It's over 100.
We could definitely use some shade. But this is going to be a cooling soup, and we have all of the ingredients coming right out of the refrigerator.
That's right.
We were inspired by talking to our guest, and we have some inventive ideas of our own to try out for color, crunch, and overall deliciousness. Together with Elyssia yesterday, we decided to include jicama, cucumber, mint, and lime juice with the watermelon. That's all very cooling. And then in addition, for fun,
we're going to have honey and the rind of the watermelon, and then also the seeds. You had a little bit of drama trying to find a seeded watermelon, isn't that correct?
I did, and I'm really glad that I bought one coming home from camping because nobody had seeded watermelons, including Whole Foods. And the produce guy at Whole Foods said, it's supply and demand. Nobody wants to deal with seeds, and so we don't carry them. No, in fact, we were accidentally shipped a case of those, and we had to throw them all away because hardly anybody bought them.
Wow, what a shame. And I feel like seeded watermelons are slightly sweeter.
I know. And I was like, what? And he goes, yeah, any fruit that has seeds is going to have more flavor.
I'm thinking of what, grapes?
Yeah. And he said, for example, try and get people to buy seeded grapes. They're just not going to do it. And the same now goes for watermelon. And so hardly anybody carries them.
How interesting. I will say that Tave picked excellent watermelons. So let's chop up our melon.
And let's use that new trick. Envision cutting off both ends of a pineapple and then slicing down and slicing off the rind.
This is a fabulous trick. I like this. It's actually easy to get the rind off because the watermelon stays on its solid flat base as you cut around the sides, so it's not slipping and falling and sloshing all around. My brother's method is he'll let the watermelon rest on its underbelly and then cut a hole in the top, pop that off, and then he scoops out the innards of the watermelon with like an ice cream scoop and then puts the top back on, puts it in the fridge, and eats it that way.
Kind of like it was a jack-o'-lantern.
Exactly.
Which we now know watermelons are in the same family as pumpkins. Let's get to the seeds.
Removing the seeds now. So I'm using my hands because I feel like it's a easier method to get at the seeds rather than a knife. And it's almost like removing pomegranate seeds. This method is working well.
It's very visceral.
That's done.
I'm readying the food processor. You could use a blender. You could even make this recipe outside if you just ran an extension cord.
Years ago, I was traveling in Mexico with a friend of mine, and we were on a beach, right? So we just actually clipped the little plug into the wall off of the blender and wired the bare wires directly to the battery of the car.
Oh my gosh.
We wanted to make frozen margaritas. I don't know if this is safe, but we did it. I'm sure now they make battery operated or solar powered ones if you can find them.
That's fantastic.
Next, 12 cups of watermelon going into the food processor.
It really is sweet watermelon. I'm kind of snacking on it as we go.
We probably ate 4 cups.
We did account for that, so the recipe is correct.
Yeah.
Okay, first round.
Now let's add the cucumber, the honey, the rind to the food processor. But it's already looking good. Obviously, we'll have to do multiple batches because it doesn't fit.
Try and get this last round really fine.
Oh yeah, that's a little more liquidy than the first batch you did. Again, this is like a texture thing, however chunky or finely. Do you want your food processed?
Oh, I kind of like it like that.
We're just folding in the diced chunks of watermelon and 8-ounce jicama cubed, and then 4 sprigs of mint chopped and folded in.
And here goes the mint.
Pretty that is.
Nice. Got a photo of this too. Great.
So we'll have a finer consistency along with chunks. It's actually looking chunkier than our gazpacho, which I'm actually excited about.
Me too.
All right, so it's all been incorporated.
And then we're going to fold it all with the lime juice.
The soup is coming together quite nicely.
Taste. Do you want to have a little taste?
More lime juice in? Is that okay with you?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's add more.
I like that.
So it's a half a cup of lime juice that we used in total.
I am glad we added the honey, though. Even though watermelon can be very sweet, I think because we added the rind and also the cucumber to tone down that sweetness, you just have to bump it back up. All right, Tavi, let's put it in the fridge.
Just throw it in a bowl, and then we're going to stick it in the refrigerator.
And toast up our seeds while we're waiting for that to get cold. What was your phone alerting you to with that quacking sound?
It was PGE, and it was a flex time alert. And they said, the less energy you can use today, the more you can help out your community. So,
well, good on us. Well, just in time, we finished with the food processor, and we no longer need any energy except for gas for toasting our seeds.
Right, and in addition, I should mention we live in an old 1910 bungalow, and so there is no air conditioning.
I thought you were just punishing me.
Because it's so hot, we're not going to be toasting these seeds in the oven. We're going to roast them in a cast iron skillet. But for that matter, I think you could even do that on the barbecue, so long as you preheated your cast iron pan. So you could do it all outside if you wanted.
Camping style.
For sure. So we're just going to dump all the seeds in, and then we can throw some salt on top too. 1/4 teaspoon? Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll toss this through. We'll probably roast until they start looking a little drier and kind of like a roasted nut would look.
I can smell it.
I know, roasted seeds. Who'd have known you could eat watermelon seeds?
We were able to get maybe a half cup of seeds out of the thing. You know what, and talking about watermelon seeds, you had such trouble finding them in the stores, like a seeded watermelon, and it reminded me today when I was removing the seeds how much they look like ticks, and then it brought me back to when I was a kid.
Summertime memories of camping for sure.
Memories of childhood and ticks.
We have a block party that we go to each year, and usually there's a watermelon seed spitting contest. Mm-hmm. One year we went, and there's little slices of watermelon. There's no seeds in them. And then they have these dried black beans next to them. We're like, what's going on? And they were like, well, we couldn't find any seeded watermelons. So you just take a little bite of this seedless watermelon and then put one of these dried black beans in your mouth and spit that.
That seems like cheating to me.
That's the only way around it.
Wow.
Some of them are shooting around the pan. Yeah. Look at that.
Jumping beans.
Ooh, popping like popcorn.
Oh. Maybe that one's a tick.
Looking nice and toasty.
Almost like a coffee bean color.
These are good. We're just going to put them on the side and reserve them to stick on top to taste. What are we going to do for garnish?
We're going to finely sliver the rind of the watermelon. We're going to have tiny little cubes of jicama. We're going to also have cucumbers. Let's see, we've chopped everything. This podcast premieres on the new moon during a solar eclipse. And so we took the Persian cucumbers and sliced them very thin, cross-section. So we have full moon and half moons.
Yeah, those look good.
And then you garnish.
And serve.
Then you eat. So now Tave's going to taste.
Wow, it's so crunchy. I especially like the jicama. It's like an apple-like consistency, and the rind has almost a little bit of a celery taste to it, but without all of the strings.
What else are you feeling about the soup?
I love that it was pureed, but then we also have a little bit of chunks, and then the slivers as well. So it's kind of like a potpourri of sizes in your mouth.
What do you think of the watermelon seed garnish?
I like that dry crunch on top and that little bit of saltiness, kind of like when you're out in the countryside and they salt their cubes of watermelon. It really kind of pulls out that extra flavor from the watermelon. Love it.
How does it differ from our gazpacho?
Oh my gosh, it's entirely different. Well, first of all, it's sweeter. The honey has like a distinct flavor to it. It's imbibed a little bit of that honey. But in addition to that, the lime juice sticks out. It's a nice complement. So there's something sweet and tart about this all at the same time. Much more refreshing, not hearty in any way. This is a very light soup.
So there we go.
Watermelon soup for the solar eclipse.
Cheers. Tavi, I just got a text from one of our Peace, Love, and Soup listeners, and it's saying that today of all days is National Watermelon Day, and we didn't plan this at all.
I feel like I knew it was in August, but I had no idea that it was actually today. That's wild.
Incredible.
It is.
Synchronicity.
I know. What on earth? Here's hoping wherever you were for the solar eclipse that it was an epic experience. But before we go, we'd like to leave you with this quote. I still say shoot for the moon. You might get there. Buzz Aldrin.
And finally, we look ahead to September, National Peace Month.
The world could sure use more of it.
In honor of that, we are going to be emphasizing the peace in Peace, Love, and Soup, talking with Wintry Witt Smith of Peace Village, and making our own loving version of pea soup. Join us then for a great big bowl of
Peace, Love, and Soup. Audio nourishment for the heart and mind.
With Brian Delaney
and Tave Fache Drake.
Down by the bay where the watermelons grow, back to my home.
For more information about today's show, along with artist links, photos, recipes, and more,
visit us on our website, peaceloveandsoup.com.
Please like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram
at Peace, Love, and Soup.
Down by the bay where the watermelons grow, back to my home, I dare not go, for if I do, my mother will say, did you ever see a whale with a polka dot tail? Down by the bay, down by the bay, let me hear ya, where the watermelons grow.
We hope you enjoyed that radio broadcast of an episode we produced in August of 2017.
Brian and I will be entertaining and we hope educating you until the top of the hour with more local culture and conversation. Opening this live segment, the song Cascadian Pride by Portland singer-songwriter and steel guitar player Eric Callio.
Sitting and thinking on the mountainside, feeling the breeze and that Cascadian pride. Seeing the lights from the city glow on the edge of space with no boundaries to know.
today in the studio, we are excited to welcome Jim Todd, the Director of Space Science Education at OMSI, which is the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry. Thanks for coming in on this lovely day today, Jim.
My pleasure.
Hi, Jim. Where were you for the Great American Solar Eclipse in 2017?
Well, actually at the Salem Fairgrounds, and we were putting on displays, and I was kind of the MC up on the stage and had the pleasure of introducing the eclipse for all of those 7,000 people at the fairground. So it was a beautiful day, and that 2-minute totality, it was just phenomenal. It was a memory of a lifetime. Nothing will top 2017 for many, many people. I had tears coming down my eyes, and astronaut Don Pettit was with me. He's seen 2 eclipses on the space station. He was jumping up all over me.
Honestly, seeing that corona was something I did not expect to be so spectacular. I thought it was going to be like a movie trailer. You know, they pump it up to be incredible, and you're like, nah, it was okay. But it was just amazing. And my whole family and I, we kept exclaiming during the 2 minutes of totality. We'd be like, oh, can you believe it? And then we'd try and be really quiet and just listen to ourselves breathing and the birds chirping and toads and frogs and crickets.
That sounds like a Disney movie.
It was amazing. It really was.
I was on a rooftop in Portland. It's hard to explain, but the air somehow felt different. And I saw those like snake shadows, and my body felt a little seasick. And I was like, this is really amazing and wonderful, but what was going on?
In the ancient time, they call them ghosts. Right? You do see what look like little waves moving across the ground. But it is because of the eclipse.
Okay.
You feel that sensation.
And that could make one dizzy or seasick, like just looking at it.
The air did feel different. You had some color to it. When that's because we were in the shadow. So the temperature also dropped. And we got the human reaction to it, but animals respond as well. Right. But we were so lucky. The weather was just gorgeous everywhere. And they were able to see some few bright objects up in the sky. But there's a lot of different experience, spiritually, romantically, scientifically, that came out of the eclipse. You know what's nice about this, too, that after the eclipse, now we have 1 million eclipse chasers. Yeah. They were so fascinated with it. They want to know when the next one's going to be, where can they go, and so on, which is the beauty of it.
When is the next one?
Well, the next one's going to be 2023, and that's when we're going to have an angular eclipse, where the disk of the moon is going to be smaller than the sun. Okay. So it creates what we call the ring of fire. And that's going to be in October. It's going to be in southern Oregon, right over Crater Lake.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and when you think about it, October, weather, fall foliage, I'm waiting for somebody to get a good picture of the reflection on the water of Crater Lake of that ring of fire. That will be a priceless picture.
That really will.
So Portland will get a partial. It's not the totality, but it's still fascinating. And then after that, with 2024, with the total eclipse going down the east coast of the United States, here in Portland, we'll have 60%. People are like, that. Should I use my solar viewing glasses I have in 2017? Absolutely. Make sure there's no scratches or holes in it.
So you're a chaser?
Yep.
You're going to go to all of these.
Well, I'm going to do the best I can.
I guess maybe I shouldn't say that. People might start being Jim Todd chasers and following him to all
Well, yeah, we can do that too.
That sounds like everyone should mark their calendars.
Yes.
And we did our research. April 8th, 2024, if you want to travel to, say, Texas or points northeast from there for the next full eclipse in our nation. But then if we want to have one here in Oregon, you can go down to Crater Lake for that ring of fire in October of 2023.
I have a fun fact to add here, too. The totality from the 2024 solar eclipse will coincidentally pass through the town of Wapakoneta, Ohio, home of Neil Armstrong, the first person to set foot on the moon. Jim, so last month was the 50th anniversary of the Apollo 11 moon landing. How did you commemorate that day?
Well, we did a day-long event at the museum with various groups. We had a presentation in the planetarium. Empirical Theater was showing the Apollo 11 documentary. We had hands-on activity throughout the museum. So much fun, and given opportunity to give the new generation of kids to get inspired by space science and astronomy. When I was 8 years old, I watched Neil Armstrong come down the 9 steps and finally step on the moon. That was a moment that I'll never forget. and it changed my life.
Well, now I know this story, but I'd love if you just tell us about it.
I was 8 years old, living in Kearney, Nebraska, and I was always interested in science, but my parents encouraged me to watch the event, and it's like the whole world stopped to watch this. JFK set the goal in 1961, and it was probably the best presidential speech ever, to send man to the moon and return safely by the end of the decade. That was the goal, and so we did all the testing, all the planning, got to the moon, and came back safely. Now, personally, it affected me because of my hearing loss, and it gave me the confidence to set a goal. It's like what JFK was pointing out, and use that as an approach to everyday life. Nobody can say, I can't do it.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to do it.
You are doing it.
And people would say, well, when you work in a planetarium, you can't read lips, you can't hear anybody in there. Well, let's call it, I improvise. I know how to work with it.
Yeah.
Okay? Not because it's easy, but because it's hard. But that still didn't stop me at all. You have to learn to fail, but you learn from that and your success. But I'm blessed with the talent to be able to share that as well with confidence. It's my heart and my passion that drives me through. But watching the Apollo 11 said, why not?
Exactly. Right? The sky's the limits.
Well, it's just that you find your niche. You find opportunity, and you take the risk, and you learn how to take the risk. And obviously, you found your niche. And so all three of us, we really have been blessed, and that things happen as they happen, and you share that excitement. And so that's what inspires me. And you work at the team. And then from there, human exploration will continue to grow, to expand. Yeah. And so the space program can bring countries together. So I was so inspired by it, and I taught myself space science. My uncle worked for NASA, and he saw every single Apollo launch. He was involved with the shuttle program. So that really just put me in kind of in a mode going, I really want to do this. And I knew I couldn't be an astronaut, but this is my way of getting close to NASA. And I've met 3 moonwalkers myself, professionally and personally. Charlie Duke, Bud Aldrin, they both came to OMSI. And then Thomas Stafford didn't exactly walk on the moon, but he was the one that really paved the way how to go to the moon and back. He was the kindest gentleman I've ever met in my life. So I can just go on and on with astronauts to come and they share their knowledge, and it's mesmerizing.
I've met women astronauts at OMSI as well, and having 2 daughters that are very science-minded, being able to bring them down and have them in the same room with someone who has been up in space and come back down and to be able to tell you about it. It's very exciting and inspiring. Side story, being not super tall, I always thought it'd be great to go up in space because I heard you grow a number of inches. My desire to do that was squashed when I was at one of the talks because I heard that then you shrink back down within about an hour and it's painful.
Yeah, that's why there's so much study on the space station right now. What the microgravity, how it affects the human body, all the way down to DNA, bone structure, muscle structure. If we're going to go to Mars, we have to be prepared to see what effect it will have on the human body and be able to even walk when you get there. Because we have to learn more first about ourselves before we leave this planet.
This is fascinating. I did not know this information. Did you, Brian?
No, I didn't. And The Dark Side of the Moon, other than being a Pink Floyd album.
It's a very popular radio show for us, by the way.
Really? Yeah, I bet it is.
Well, that's a good segue. So, Jim, Todd, you have been working at OMSI for over 35 years now. Tell us what your job entails.
My main role is to operate the planetarium. We find product that we use to show the public current events going on in the nighttime sky as well as space science. We do a whole variety of things. We do live shows, film, and so on. Part of my primary role is to educate the public, be a resource, interpret the information that's out there, and bring it down to a layman's level so that people who come in for the first time, they walk away with some good understanding what they learn. The cool thing is that in my 35 years, technology have changed and changed and changed again. So we have new ways of presenting in the planetarium with new projectors, software, and every year it gets better and better and better. The creativity is wild, but the idea behind the planetarium to go in there and use imagination. Imagination leads to knowledge. Knowledge leads to imagination. That we can go anywhere. I also coordinate the these star parties, which we have been doing for over 25 years. And there we work with the real skies, and we work with the Rosy astronomers who volunteer their telescope and their knowledge and come out. We look at the nighttime sky so that people can come and learn about an event that's happening, the lunar eclipse, the solar eclipse, the meteor shower.
The star party, August 12th.
Yeah, August 12th is always the largest star party of the year for OMSI. And this is going to be the peak of the Perseus meteor shower. The Earth's making a rendezvous with the debris left behind by a comet. That's what creates what's called a meteor shower. Every year, August 12th is the peak. And so we can get upwards 60 to 80 meteors per hour. The debris itself is ice particles, no larger than a grain of sand. They've been going around the sun for millions of years, really. And it's nighttime, we see the debris entering the Earth's atmosphere, being pulled down, traveling several thousand miles per hour. So we will be at Rooster Rock State Park and Stubbs George State Park. It's free after $5 parking for the Oregon State Parks. I'm there as an interpreter, and then we'll have the volunteers from the Rosy astronomers with the telescope. Okay. While we're watching the meteor shower, we can look at Jupiter, we can look at Saturn, we can look at the moon. We generally start at sunset, and some people stay there until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And time flies when you're out there having so much fun. In the past few years, we have actually had 2,000 to 3,000 people coming out for the event. The best part is that we're watching, and when the meteor appears, it feels like a rock concert. It's really a wonderful, spectacular show.
Anything else out there in the summer sky that we should be looking for?
Absolutely. This summer, there's a lot to see. We'll have the Perseus meteor shower coming up. And so each night gets more and more and more until we reach the peak on August 12th. And then it starts to diminish, because that's how big the debris field is. Okay? And Saturn and Jupiter are going to be the prominent planet for the summer of 2019. Okay. Jupiter, you can see bright, really bright right now. And then we have Saturn, you see the ring. It's something you'll never forget. It's always a crowd pleaser.
So we've got star parties. You could use extra special telescopes in conjunction with the Rose City astronomers.
Absolutely. And that's the beauty, too. If people are interested in getting a telescope, there's no better place to come out to the star party and see the variety of reflectors and refractors and binoculars and just simple devices.
So you have an opportunity to come out and see a site different than you would see on your own with your naked eye, to get advice from experts and hobbyists. And
or go to the planetarium and see a digital version of the night sky.
Right.
Also true.
Yeah.
Share with our listeners the different variety of shows that they can attend here in Portland at the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry Kendall Planetarium.
And we have a show, as you're pointing out, called Starry Night Live. It's a live presentation. We talk about the current night sky. Then we talk about what's coming up during this month. We have, for the little guys, One World, One Sky. And it's a Sesame Street. It's an introduction to the sky and into the planetarium. Families with children who come to the museum, they love the show. Then follow that, a little bit older, we have Dark Universe, about dark energy, dark matter, narrated by Neil deGrasse Tyson. And then from there, we got laser shows, Dark Side of the Moon. We always have to have that.
You do.
The lasers have been around for eons. We change our shows monthly, by the way. So people have different things they can choose from. I also want to point out that we've been showing a unique show called Mesmerica. It's a meditation show. And it's very different. It's abstract. It's run by James Hood. And it's the visualization up on the dome, but it's also audio for 1 hour. We've been selling out one after another. And that's going to be playing until the end of August. Still some tickets available, but it's a very popular program. That just shows the versatility of our planetarium. We just installed a brand new system in the planetarium about 1.5 years ago. And it provided with bright, sharp images, and we have 5.1 audio to really enhance the experience. And then in the evening, we have rock shows. We just kicked off with the Kendall concerts. And the band coming in, we put the visualization on the dome, and we try to match the music with the scenes. They've been working out very well. The bands are really starting to take hold of it.
I'm really excited because Girl Haggard, my all-female Merle Haggard tribute, is going to be playing there in March of 2020. Jim gave us a wonderful tour
Incredible.
and showed us all the different options for mood or scenery. And we also have the opportunity to design our own visuals to bring in. So that's exciting.
Kaveh, you're going to be a star.
I know.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
So let's see. OMSI has broadened their STEM education, which is science, technology, engineering, math, to include the arts and the connection that art plays in the sciences. So we now have STEAM, science, technology, engineering, art, and math.
STEAM. That makes me think of soup.
Yes.
And as you know, our Peace, Love, and Soup is a variety show bringing people together around the table. And we use soup as a metaphor, also literally. So we have to ask you, Jim.
What is your favorite soup?
Tomato soup is always my go-to soup. I love having cheese sandwich with hot tomato soup.
You like it chunky? Do you like it creamy? Is it like a milk base? Or some people make it with orange juice?
I like it chunky. I like throw things in it, like crackers. That's my favorite kind of soup. I put it in a cup.
A mug of soup.
Yep.
With some crackers in it.
Creamy a little bit.
Sounds great.
I'm just envisioning now those little like oyster crackers, which kind of look like little moons or suns. And OMSI has the Theory Cafe. They serve local, sustainable, nutritious food there. And I'm wondering, maybe we get Theory to make a Jim Todd soup. Yeah. Yeah, like a tomato soup with constellations in it.
It calls the soup of the universe.
Maybe that's what Theory is going to call that, the Jim Todd soup of the universe. Soup. It's always bringing people together. So let's see. People can find out more about all of the wonderful things we've been talking about, from the star parties to the Kendall Planetarium, by going to omsi.edu. That's omsi.edu.
Thank you, Jim, for your wisdom and enthusiasm. And do you have something to add?
I do. This has just been a real treat to have you in here today. I appreciate you taking time out of your workday to come down here. Thanks.
My pleasure.
Yes, peace and love to you and all of our groupies out there, or in our case, we call them the Soupies. Right? You've been listening to Peace, Love, and Soup Live with Brian Delaney and Kaveh Fashe Drake.
Audio nourishment for the heart and mind.
To find out more about us and listen to past episodes, go to peaceloveandsoup.com. Please like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram at Peace, Love, and Soup.
We're going to go out to the song Sunset Chaser by Eric Kallio. Find out more about him and his music at erickallio.com. That's ERICKALLIO.com. All right, as always, peace, love, and, of course, soup.